Hey, it is your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today. And we're zooming in and focusing in a little bit more in depth on what keeps people stuck, what keeps people in that depression, that social anxiety, the feeling like it's difficult to find your life purpose, find your passion, your things that drive you, things that you're interested in. Things that you are inherently good at but that have been repressed or snuffed out or extinguished because you have been really habituated to be involved in a relationship with covert narcissist or a number of people who are of that sort of type of individual or pathology, and you're finding that you keep attracting that role, or you're in a rut. You're basically still in that same place. You feel like you're not able to move beyond. And just to understand a little bit more as to why that is, and once you can unearth that, then you'll be much more liberated to actually being able to free up and be in your life purpose, because it is a be state. It's a be in state. And if you've been around a covert narcissist, oftentimes there is an undergirding feeling of guilt for living your life. In other words, you feel an inherent connection where if you're not taking care of their needs, there must be something wrong with you, and you are not permitted to kind of be liberated, to be free, to individuate, to become that industrious, productive person who can focus on the positive rather than always constantly being distracted by the negative. And in the case of the covert narcissist, oftentimes it is their quiet that is disturbing. It is the feeling that there's something more that you just don't know. And then so there's a constant uncertainty that seems to plague the relationship. So you begin to develop and adapt to try to resolve that uncertainty, because if you don't know, if you're not getting that full emotional connection, connectiveness, openness, and empathy, if you're not living freely in that space, then your space is going to start to shrink. You know, your sense of the world is going to begin to shrink. In fact, a lot of people, when they're with those people who are psychopathic, even they begin to temporarily hate the world or hate people. And then the posse, the people, the supporters of the psychopath or the narcissist will then, oh, look, that person is so unhappy. They hate the world. It's because they've never allowed you to be in the same space. You can't, like Albert Einstein always, he has a great saying, you cannot simultaneously prepare and prevent for war. Either you're working on the fight or you're working on the solution. If you're building bombs, you're going to use them. And I should not use this word here, but it's a statement from Albert Einstein. And it's like, you can't simultaneously live your life and then be stuck in a covert narcissist relationship, or that energy of enabling in worry, care, concern, and then guilt. I think guilt is one of the number one feelings that hold people back from living their own life, because they inherently, instinctively know or feel that something is not right, either with them or the relationship or the way that they relate to kids or the way that they relate to their job. And so they're always having to pry and they just, they're trying to always identify what it is. And oftentimes they'll devote much of their time and life to trying to help the narcissist, help them be the best they can be, satisfy their emotional needs. It becomes all about them and nothing about you. And then it becomes the over-obligation syndrome, where you're over-obligated to them, and then you're looking for others to over-obligate yourself to, and you begin to habituate this pattern and almost a role or identity or temperament, which people say, I hate living like this, I don't like living this way, how can I stop? And it's because oftentimes there's a guilt that is, feeling like it will, you cannot do something, or you are bad. You are doing something wrong. You're doing, something immoral by living your life. I mean, that is basically the feeling that they are giving you and projecting onto you. And, that's a very heavy and weighty emotion, but dissect it we must. And once you can understand the why, then you can release it and let it go. But realize that the guilt is that, if you were to let them go, that either you would be leaving someone who is suffering, they're hurting, or that you would be replaced. And it's that fear of abandonment and rejection that people work hard to stay enacted to. So if there is a guilt, you're feeling like a bad person for being happy. There's something wrong with you if you're indulging in your passion. Perhaps you're a big bookworm. Perhaps, you're interested in sports and you want to learn about sports or different teams, but there's a guilt. Why is there always this guilt? You can't go and move to another area of the country. You can't, dress a certain way. You can't talk a certain way. You can't listen to a certain type of music. You feel so restricted, a guilt if you, are to grow up in that way. So you really need to clear that out and rid that out and cleanse free that guilt. Because the guilt is really one of the main blockers. And so you can begin to then ask yourself, and we can do this now in the privacy and focus of this video, you can ask yourself you can even put it on the top of a page and list 1 through 20 underneath, and ask yourself, if I didn't have so much guilt in my life, I would really love to ... If the negative looks from other people wouldn't prevent me from doing this, I would really love to ... And give yourself time to fill under this, because there's a lot of behaviors, emotions, and situations which you are tying your hurt to. So, in other words, they might be, if my family or my boss were not ashamed, I would really grow to be ... When I'm feeling very positive, I find myself doing ... and feeling ... and around ... And then you can look at it on the contrary too. When I'm laden by guilt, I find that I do so much of ... And guilt keeps me tied to people doing ... and feeling ... I mean, you can begin to feel, fill these things in. And this is really, it's a very interesting exercise and just open interactive forum that you can, I have developed these questions because I have found that this is a really, not only is it interesting and it's fun, but you realize that there's so much in there, but you have to open it up. You didn't realize that all this was in there. And then you can feel like, oh my gosh, and then you are able to kind of free up that energy, free up your health. And if there's any specific areas that you want me to address, I know I would like to work on a number of different videos here. I'm trying to get out a lot of content and do this writing at the same time. So if you have any questions, about, specifically how to help unearth that guilt, really just begin to, pay attention to its place and its role in your life, and then the impact. Look if there's a negative impact, maybe there's a positive impact. Maybe you're saying, hey, I'm guilty that I haven't been, following up on my appointments, my emotional appointment book. I haven't doing my recovery date. I haven't been doing my astramations. I haven't been in touch with my IWANs. I haven't been doing this. I haven't been consciously working it, because you have to consciously work it before you can become unconsciously competent. That's kind of a follow-up comment to an earlier video that I did, that eventually when you work this long enough, you will become unconsciously competent, which means the learning will have been learned. The lessons, the lessons learned that you wrote down after these relationships, you have now learned them. And then you're kind of like walking You're walking the talk, you're living the life, you're living the dream, you're in that space, you're in the zone. And it's a wonderful place to be. A lot of people, want to return there or have never been there. And so it's really kind of like that quantum field of energy that I want you to begin to live in and liberate yourself. And, find those, find those moments and begin to go, okay, guilt held me back. Begin to determine the areas of your life where either you can even ask yourself in what areas of life has the narcissist held me back? And list 1 through 20. And this is real stuff. I mean, this is between you and the paper. This is your gold mine. Some of the great Jim Rohn said, some of the greatest books I've ever bought were those that were empty. In other words, he did so much writing, he was able to consolidate basically a custom guidebook to his own inner sanctum, and he is a magnificent and very prolific multimillionaire and motivational speaker. But it's very true, because oftentimes the answers that you need are within yourself. You just don't know how to find them. So it's my goal here to really help you find them and then begin to incorporate that into your life so you're living empowered and you're living in that quantum field and that quantum direction, and utilizing positive, orderly direction thinking, and then going there, sleeping there, eating there, breathing there, all the different things that you do during your day. It's through that empowered space. And really, you might only be there, for 5 or 10 minutes, and then 10 minutes grows to 30 minutes, and then 30 minutes in that positive zone grows to an hour. I mean, you can start with those very small increments, and incrementally you're growing into that. So don't be discouraged if you get those aha moments, and it might last for a day, and then you feel like you're backsliding. Get back to some of your affirmations. Get back to these questions. Ask yourself, if I wasn't so depressed, or if I didn't allow depression to seep in, I would love to ... And oftentimes people, they need to fill it in. They need to kind of use some tools to loosen it up. And, people have trouble making decisions and, and doing this. And you can say, well, okay, after I write this 1 or 2 words, then I'll relax. After I make these 1 or 2 decisions, then I'll relax. So be easy on yourself. Life wants to meet you right where you are, and just, and begin where you're at, because there's never too late a time to start. What I would recommend is, if you're having trouble with following up, or, you're feeling this heavy depression or heavy anger, and just say, okay, I'm going to focus on being happy for at least, the next 30 seconds, and then focus, and then begin to pick it up again, and use and motivate yourself. Even, if it's very, for example, if you're very stressed, I'm going to be calm just for the next 30 seconds. Even though I blow up here, I'm going to be calm. Begin to get that inner voice, because the inner self-talk is so crucial to help unloosening that guilt, oftentimes, which is the #1 key factor holding people back. It is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today. I hope that these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.